What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Estate Informant podcast. Today we have a very special guest in the building. Friend of mine, real estate extraordinaire, real estate mogul, investor, has one of the most unique stories in real estate that I've ever heard. And he's going to bring it live to you today through this channel, Real Estate Informant. This is the podcast, and you already know we working. Fasten your seatbelt. Let's go. My man, Ken Atkins, talk to the folks.
Hey, Lance. Thank you for having me on your platform. I truly appreciate it.
This is our platform today.
Okay.
Because you know what? Let me tell you guys something. We met on social media, right? Kicked it on social media. And we were going back and forth for a while because I admired everything you were doing. And it just so happened that I got up the other day and I looked and I was going through my feed and I saw you had a new page. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, a new page. And then I looked for your old page, real estate business, and it wasn't there. I'm like, what? So then I actually looked at the post that you created, and it said that you had gotten hacked.
Absolutely.
So I immediately reached out. I'm like, oh, that's because I could imagine if my page. I'm like, oh hell no! Like let's get together. Let's talk about this thing. Let's try to get this thing back up. And me reaching out to Ken Atkins, I already knew your name, obviously, but the real estate business thing not being there in my head, I literally empathized, and I'm like, damn, what if?
Yeah. Took me a year to build that brand, and in a moment it was gone. Yeah, so it was tough, and this just happened 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was only a couple of days ago.
Literally. So, I had to dust myself off and start over. And listen, I'm can't even tell you how much I'm thankful for you even extending your hand and offering me this opportunity, because not many people would do this. So, my thanks go out to you. I love what you're doing. I've been watching you for the past year because I'm actually new to social media. Just started really taking it serious about a year ago. And you're one of the ones that I've seen that has been thorough and consistent, and you know your shit.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. You know what? I appreciate the compliments. But likewise, not but, and likewise, there's a thing about guys like us who actually are in the real estate business. I'm not going to call it the real estate game, because some people are in the real estate game and some people are in the real estate business.
Absolutely.
See, we happen to be in the real estate business, and what happens is when you're in the real estate business, you notice when someone else is in the real estate business.
Correct.
Not to be perceived as the real estate game, something totally different. So the things that you had mentioned about me are very similar traits that I noticed about you. I've only personally been on social media, it's been less than 2 years, but I'm new to it, and I wasn't about it for a very long time. But because I was actually in the business, people found value in what I was saying. And because, it wasn't difficult for people to take a liking to the things that I was producing, because I was actually speaking from experience. And because I understood people to be that way, and I was that way with you. Because I'm like, this guy has experience. And I like to see that you're actually giving real valuable information. Now, before I let too much information about you out,
okay,
I'm going to ask you a couple questions about yourself for those who don't necessarily know you.
All right.
Right? So for those who don't know you, let's talk about, first of all, whatever you want to talk about, but I want you to give a really good introduction to the people who don't know you so they understand why it matters that you have an actual page that they follow, they pay attention to. You are a coach, you are a consultant, you are an investor. Give us that.
All right. So quick intro. Like yourself, I'm from New York City. All right. Born and raised in Brooklyn. Come from an area called Brownsville. Notorious area.
I didn't even know that part. I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, I'm from Tilden Houses, Livonia and Rockaway. So for those that know about Brooklyn and about New York and about Brownsville, super notorious. So I grew up in that era, where it was like Wild Wild West. So came up super hard. Me being a mixed kid, I had to actually prove myself. That
mixed how? What do you mean mixed?
I'm half Filipino. People think
really?
Yeah, literally. Half Asian. So
didn't
imagine
even know that.
My mom being an Asian woman in the mid-'70s in the projects in Brownsville on welfare, public housing, only Asian woman in an all-black neighborhood, and having to come up as her kid. I don't have any brothers. I don't have a father there. You know, they was divorced. So it was rough, bro. It was super rough. Yeah, people either mistake me for being Latino or just black. But yeah, I'm half Asian.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's news. And in Brownsville.
Oh,
this is good.
Yeah,
Give it to me.
I had to learn
how
to scrap, bro. Wow. I had to, because who's the one that's going to get singled out? If it's my group is facing your group and your guys want to fight my guys, they're picking me.
Right.
I'm the one. I'm the light-skinned one with the curly hair.
Right.
So I had to learn how to be extra with it. And that transitioned into me, you know, growing up in the streets and just earning my keeps and earning my respect in that area. You know, I knew growing up that this wasn't it. You know, the pissy staircases and the broken elevators, and you know, I was like, this can't be life. It has to be more to life than this. What's my exit out of here? And back then we didn't really have role models like how we have social media now, where you can see so many people of our color, our complexion making moves. We didn't have that. So you're relegated to what's in your environment. And what was in my environment was drug dealers and pimps. That was it. You know, so I chose to go the route of drug dealing. To me, that was the quickest and easiest way to get out of my circumstances, to break that cycle of poverty that my family, you know, was locked into.
Got it.
So at 14 years old, you know, got my first package, made $600 profit in one day, and never looked back.
You was in the game.
I was in the game, heavy at 14 years old. By the time I was 15, I was employing some of my peers. By the time I was 16, I graduated high school, went to college, went to John Jay College for a semester, and was like, what the hell am I doing here? My pager was going off. I got money on my line. I was like, nah, I'm out of here. And I had my daughter.
But you tried to go to college route.
I went the college route.
No.
I gave it a shot.
That's what you did.
I gave it a shot.
Got it.
I gave it a shot and realized that wasn't for me. Okay. I didn't want my daughter growing up on welfare.
Wait. Daughter.
I had a daughter at 17.
At what age? So you're 17.
I'm 17.
I have a daughter.
I have my daughter. Don't want her growing up on welfare like I did.
Now, are you still living in Brownsville?
Still living in Brownsville.
Okay.
Living in Brownsville. And I dropped out of college and made a decision to double down in the streets and go harder. So when I made that decision, I said, I need to transition out of state. I became a big fish in a small pond in Brooklyn. Let me transition out. So started to travel to Maryland, Connecticut, Virginia, North Carolina. So I was in Baltimore. I was in Annapolis. I was, you name it, Richmond, Petersburg, landed in Greensboro, North Carolina. I said, this is where it's at. You know, what I was selling in New York for $3, I was selling in North Carolina for $25. My margin was ridiculous. Never looked back. Made North Carolina my second home. Started commuting back and forth down there. And by the time, so I was like 18 years old. By the time I was 19, bro, I think I made my first million at 19 in the streets.
Cash.
I had zero financial literacy. Didn't know what the hell I was doing with the money. Didn't have family here. I didn't have uncles because my family's in the Philippines and my dad's side is in Miami. I grew up in New York. Had no guidance. Was making a ton of money. Didn't know what to do with the money. So you do stuff that kids do when they don't have guidance. I was buying. I had a $30,000 Rolex at 19. You know, I was buying $100,000 cars.
Right.
I was buying $1,500 Coogee shirts.
Right.
I mean, Versace shirts and Coogee sweaters and.
Because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's what we learned. So I was doing this before it was a trendy thing.
So you were dapper. You were the Source. Like you were.
I was one of those
Source
guys.
magazine.
I was one of those guys.
Don Diva magazine.
I was one of those guys back in the early 90s.
Wow.
So life was good. I was like, I'm going to ride the wheels until it falls off. And, you know, you don't really have an exit strategy. That was my fatal mistake back then.
That was my next question. So as all this is happening, right, money's coming fast, you're learning life lessons. Obviously, you're learning how to make money, right? So you're an entrepreneur by every stretch of the imagination, not by some. You're a full-fledged entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
At what point did you say to yourself, did you ever say to yourself, this might stop one day?
We always think that it's going to come to an end some way, somehow.
But we
downplay, you know, what kind of impact it's going to have and how it's going to play out.
Right.
So in my mind's eye, I was saying, if I get jammed up, maximum I'm probably facing is 5 years, maybe 10 years max. knew zero about federal drug laws, knew zero about anything. And ultimately, 19, 20, 21, 22, great. At 23 years old, my world got turned upside down. I got indicted by the federal government, got charged as the ringleader of a major cocaine distribution conspiracy, and was facing life in prison on my first day.
Oh, you're a plaga.
Life.
You're la.
Bro, I never had a
You
jaywalking
was the
ticket.
plug.
Never had a jaywalking ticket and was facing life
At that young of an age.
at 23 years old. Federal government brought back 15 people to testify against me to make sure I couldn't go to trial. Yeah. 7 of them I knew. 8 of them I didn't know. They jumped on my case. They never knew me.
Wow.
So when I learned how dirty and vicious the game was and how the deck was stacked against me, I was like, listen, a number comes before a letter. When it comes to doing time, I got to take this plea agreement. I took the plea agreement and was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison at 23 years old. Yeah.
23
23 years old.
You got 18.
Got 18 years.
What did they say? 90% of your time is what you're doing?
Oh, you do 87.5 or something like that. Yeah.
About 90.
About 90% of your time you do. So at 23 years old, my next chapter in life began. I'm in federal prison. I'm going to be here for the better part of the next 2 decades. What I skipped was when I was 19 years old and I had my little operation going, I went and got my real estate license.
Wait a minute.
Stumbled into that. I didn't tell you that.
Hold on.
In Queens.
I'm out.
In your hometown.
Wait, hold on, time out. You got a real estate license,
Full-blown drug dealer.
full-blown, in the streets, got a real estate license.
Listen, that was my way. That was my cover. Because how am I going to tell moms, where's this money coming from? I'm a real estate agent.
Oh, so nobody knew
Nobody
anything.
knew. I mean, not my sister knew. Moms didn't know what the hell was going on. So listen, this is my cover because I was working with Century 21, had my little beige blazer.
You passed the test and everything.
Had my briefcase, had my little my car magnet with my name, and I was good. And I'm flying back and forth.
As the real estate king.
Yeah, people didn't know that was my cover. So I stumbled at 19. I got licensed, and I learned the real estate game from the agent broker standpoint.
Wait a minute. I'm out.
That's how I became knowledgeable about the market. I was in Hillside Avenue, Jamaica, Queens.
So, were you actually doing real estate, or you just had the license?
I had the license. I didn't do one transaction.
But you passed the test.
Passed the test.
So you had like office dues you pay every month?
Listen, back then we didn't have MLS.
No.
Literally, you pass the test. They give you a cubicle. They have a Rolodex, and they say, "Yo, start cold calling." That was it. And then I would shadow experienced realtors. And I saw that these realtors didn't really know what they was doing.
Right.
They'd walk into the house, tell a couple, all right, you guys go look around and talk to me when you come back.
Right.
So I'd go on a tour with the couple, and I'm looking at how the husband and wife interact. And I'm like, okay, the wife is the one making all the decisions. Oh, honey, the school is over here, and the hospital's down the block. And the husband was just like, yes, and like, yes, yeah, okay. So the wife, 9 times out of 10, was making the decisions. And I was saying, wow, these agents are making a ton of money and they're not really doing anything. But I learned about the market that way.
As you were doing that,
I was still full-blown drug dealer.
but were you in your mind, were you saying to yourself at that point, okay, this could be a back for me, or it's just a straight cover, just a straight front?
So it was a front, but I always was interested in real estate from a kid. I was one of those kids that was looking at Bob Vila, This Old House. But just never knew how to get involved. Growing up in the projects, we didn't have, projects that we could work on. We didn't have a tool shed where we could go and do projects for the house. No. So I wanted to get into real estate. I just didn't know how. And I stumbled into real estate at Century 21 when I was 19 years old. Stuck in traffic. There was a pretty young lady that was a receptionist. I'm in traffic. I see that they had a help wanted sign. I called to see if she was going to answer the phone. She answered the phone. I literally started talking to her. She said, "Oh, where you at?" I said, "I'm outside."
Right.
She said, "Come in.
Right.
Come meet the broker. Come meet me."
Right.
Got her phone number.
Right.
And then she introduced me to the broker.
Right.
And that's how I segued into learning about real estate.
Did that work out?
So it worked out for a little while.
No, I mean with the receptionist.
With the reception, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just want to know. So mission accomplished. Great.
Yeah.
So the bonus was you actually got the job.
The bonus was I met the broker, and he was like, "Listen, this is tailor made for you. I can see you're street savvy, you're smart. This is perfect, right up your alley." And I like the fact that I didn't work for them. I was like an independent contractor, and I called my own shots. I work when I want to work.
And you spoke well, I'm sure already. You went in there looking like money when you pulled in front of the Century 21 agency. I'm sure you pulled up in something. What you pull up in?
What I think I had back then might have been like a Mazda Millennium. Remember those?
Gold joint? The champagne joint? You ain't had a champagne. You had the blue joint?
I had the blue. Yeah.
With the tan leather seats?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, 18s on it? Like Sonny's?
No, it was all factory.
Okay.
It was all stock.
Okay. He's getting too much money. He wasn't into the rims. Okay, I was just wondering. Cool. So you pull up in the Millennium, you jump in the office, you meet the broker. He's like, definitely, like, you're a guy. You can sell stuff. Great. What happens at that point? He gives you a cubicle on a Rolodex or?
Cubicle Rolodex. I start to shadow experienced agents, learned enough about the game. My end game was always to become an investor. I really wanted to get licensed so I could A, cover my ass with the drug dealing, and B, get first dibs on deals. So that was my strategy when I went into real estate. That was very short lived because I think I might have lost a package that went down south and got hit on a Greyhound or something. And I was like, you know what?
Right.
Fuck this real estate.
Right.
I'm going
I gotta go back to
the
work.
streets.
I gotta go back to work.
Exactly.
Right.
So went back and never. So this was like 94. Never look back, bro. Never look back. 94, 95. Never look back.
So you went. So you're 23. What year do you go in?
I went in 1998.
98.
And guess what started to take off in 98?
98. You went in 98. What market started to take off?
Real estate market started to
skyrocket. Yeah, 98. Yeah.
So I'm sitting in federal prison with an 18-year sentence, and what I was interested in, I had just got this little bit of knowledge about, I now see take off. And I'm banging my head on a wall in there because I could have been out.
Not really. It was a little late. So I'm thinking that you were probably under investigation for a lot longer than you were actually in the real estate game. But in hindsight, you're definitely saying to yourself, that really was a lane for me. Are you saying to yourself while you're in there?
While I'm in there. Definitely.
Are you saying to, because now we're obviously here, you're a master real estate investor, developer. Are you saying to yourself while you're in there, I'm going to get back to that real estate thing?
I made a conscious decision maybe about 2 years into my sentence that I wasn't going to put myself back in the position where I can land back in here.
Okay.
I knew that, I felt like a sucker every day I woke up in prison. I was saying to myself, I didn't really have to be here. So I said, what industry can I go into where I can make the same amount of money, if not more, than I was making in the streets? And real estate, it just kept coming back to real estate. I was like, real estate is that avenue. So I made a conscious decision to not go back to the streets. So I aligned myself mentally to, stay on that path, and I just started to study. I started to study business, studied real estate, studied finance.
When you study, what do you mean? How do you study in federal prison?
In federal prison, what I did was this. This was pre-HGTV. It didn't even really exist back then. So I had real estate books that I could get my hands on. I had the knowledge and I had the understanding that there were people in there in federal prison, in particular, that were white collar criminals.
That's your best. Listen, there's no better learning institution, period, end of story, than federal prison.
Exactly. Federal prison is a different.
You'll learn more in federal prison in a matter of 1 year than you will in 4 years of college.
Absolutely.
That you can apply directly to life as soon as you get out.
Absolutely.
I got a bunch of guys.
We call that the university.
That is the university.
We call it the university.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our co-work. When we're talking in the streets, he was in the university with us.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I learned from some of these guys, some of these Wall Street guys that got jammed up on tax embezzlement, embezzled $100 million. I'm talking to him about, stocks and bonds, and he's teaching me about that market. And some of them, were real estate moguls, and they had, 1,000 doors. And he's teaching me a little bit about real estate. So between what I was gathering from the books and what I could sponge from other people, and then looking at shows in there like Flip That House on A&E before HGTV, I was like, okay, So I started to gather information from those 3 different sources: TV, real life people that was doing it, and what I could learn in books.
Now, how far into the sentence were you starting to do this?
Maybe 2 years.
2
3
years
years into my
inside.
sentence.
Okay. And because you already told me this, but the application process of the things that you learned, it's insane, but it's genius. Someone couldn't fathom how you actually got started in real estate. And I don't want to do you a disservice by letting the cat out of the bag.
Okay.
But could you let everybody know how you got involved? How you did your first real estate transaction?
My first real estate transaction. Now let me bring you back. 2008, Great Recession kicks in. Market is in a free fall. Stock market, real estate houses the housing market is crashing. My mom, who I love dearly, was working at her job for 31, 32 years, ready to retire. I'm like, Ma, this is the worst time to retire. You don't have a pension. You have a 401k. The little bit of money you have in your 401k, it's going to be depleted. And then what? Like, Social Security can't carry you. And I'm still in prison, and I still have a lot of years to do. And she was like, Ken, I can't do it no more. I'm out. I can't do it. You know, and she cried, and I was like, all right, listen, Ma, you want to, look, cash out your money. If you're going to retire, you got to cash out your money now. She cashed out her money from her 401k, and it went from, I believe, $84,000 down to $27,000. That's all she had to her name after 32 years of work. Dedicated, loyal employee for 32 years. She had $27,000 to her name and $1,250 a month in Social Security. I was able to, because me and my mom have a really close relationship. I said, Ma, listen, you got to get that money out your hands. My mother wired to my federal prison account $25,000. And she entrusted me with her last money. She held $2,000 for herself, sent me $25,000, and I said to myself, I need to take this $25,000 in cash and turn it into $100,000 worth of equity in real estate. So,
this equity conversation, this equity mindset is based off of the books, based off the conversations that you sponged from everyone else.
Correct.
Based off of Flip This House on A&E.
Correct.
So this multitude of knowledge that you're gaining, now you're ready to apply it, because all you needed prior to that was you just needed the tools, and the tools is the cash, is the finances to apply everything that you already know.
Exactly.
So boom, this blessing comes.
Blessing comes, I take the $25,000. Now, backstory is I had to convince Mom and my sister, because they were living in Brooklyn, renting an apartment in Flatbush for like $1,800. I was like, listen, if I could get you guys in a house that you own for the same amount or less than what you're paying in rent, would you move to New Jersey? They was like, yeah, we'll do it. Took a lot of convincing, so I'm just speeding up the story. I mean, of me writing 20-page letters and spending hours and hours and hours with them in the visiting room explaining this process to them, because they're average laymen. They don't understand real estate. So 90% of what I was explaining to them went in, out the other. They didn't really know.
But they didn't even know that you know what you were talking
They
about.
didn't. No.
You learned that from a bunch of the guys in here.
Exactly.
You talking that fast prison talk.
Exactly.
Right.
But Mom, she entrusted me, and she would go in any direction I wanted to go in. And she believed in me, you know. So I helped them buy their first house from in prison. So I literally found, through the classifieds, a property. So I knew the market was dropping. I saw a property that was listed at $450 that I wound up negotiating directly with the realtor and the builder, negotiated down to $349. And I purchased the property for $100,000 less than what it was actually listed for.
Negotiated the
deal
from
prison.
Behind
Yes.
the federal prison walls that,
mind you,
garnered $100,000 in equity. First real estate. Did you still have your license? Was your license still active?
No,
Because you could have got a broker fee
no.
from that too, because you had the license for 20 years before.
license was gone.
Wow.
It expired by then. Negotiated in there. Mind you, I'm calling brokers, realtors, attorneys from prison on a prison telephone.
Setting everything up.
15-minute calls. I only got 300 minutes a month. Wow. Literally, so had to micromanage this like to a T. I'm literally writing letters to realtors, 10-page letters, trying to explain my circumstances and my situation.
And letting them know you got proof of funds.
Exactly.
This is my down payment. This is my proof of funds and down payment.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's my pre-approval.
Exactly. And I negotiated a deal for them. put them in a 2-family in East Orange, New Jersey, new construction. I helped write a lease agreement for my sister to advertise the downstairs unit, which was a 2-bed, 1-bath. We rented that out for $1,300. The mortgage was $3,000. They were paying $1,700 a month.
100 less than they were paying
less than
before.
they were paying before.
And they
less. And they owned it, and we walked into like $50,000 because the appraisal came in because the market was dropping. We bought it for $349 and it appraised at $400. So we walked into $50,000 in equity there.
Right.
All right. So I had $25,000. My out of pocket was $14,000. I had $11,000 left.
Right. Now you gotta make that work too.
My wife at the time saw what I did with mom and sis.
And now she wants to get involved.
Nah,
you know,
she's ready to get
family.
on board.
You know, for everybody.
Exactly.
Wait, oh, so that work? Can you do that for me? Yeah, but now the price just went up. Okay.
So I do the same thing with her. Used her income, used her credit. I negotiated everything from behind the scenes. Found the property. They wanted $380. Purchased it for $289.
Jersey also.
Jersey.
Okay.
So first one was in East Orange. Second one was in West Patterson. Townhouse. Negotiated the deal. My out of pocket was $11,000. So I
Exactly what you had.
Exactly what I had. So I put up 14 on the first transaction. Put up 11 FHA loans. I'm shot my load at 25,000. But I was in there studying. I had nothing but time to study the news, and I'm on AM.
25 grand. You did
25
two
grand.
deals.
2 transactions
From behind the federal prison wall.
Yes, and walked into $100,000 worth of equity, because in my mind I was like, if all else fails, I could come home, pull some of that equity out, and get started with a business. And my business back then, my business idea was a barbershop because I was a barber in prison.
What would you say to the people that think they can't do it?
Oh,
What are you? The
highly
people that
possible.
The people that are having the analysis paralysis and overthinking and thinking I can, or what if I fail, but what do you? I don't have that much money. What do you say to those people?
With the proper guidance, anything is possible. Anything is possible. You know, we work magic in this game. That's why I like real estate investing, because there's so many different ways you can skin the cat. So you can make money in so many different ways. With the proper guidance, I can take anyone in any position in life and make them profitable when it comes to real estate.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is, listen, it's knowledge, but then there's implementation of the knowledge.
You got to execute. You got to pull a trigger.
And that's what you assist people in doing right now.
Exactly. Right now I'm doing it.
That's what so right now, if you didn't know, everything that he just told you, if he dug that deep from behind the federal prison walls, got that much accomplished, did his first 2 deals. Now that was over 10 years ago. Since then you've
done a multitude of deals.
Owns multiple multi-unit properties. You got tons of flips going on. You own lots of doors, collecting rent. We had a conversation. You got tons of equity in your properties, and you're teaching and coaching people how to do the same exact thing right now.
Absolutely.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. Each one teach one. I'm a heavy believer in us actually empowering each other. You guys already know. Out here every single day grinding. Out here getting to it. Showing you how to get to it. My man, Ken Atkins. And also, listen, man. We got to figure out how to get your damn page back.
Yeah, listen, I'm trying behind the scenes.
If you know how to get an IG page back, then DM me or DM my man, Ken Atkins __ consultant, so we can get it done. Listen, y'all, this is my man here, Ken Atkins. You're going to see a lot more of him and I working. A lot more conversations are going to come. And if you don't know, now you know. If you think that you can't do it, and if he had no excuse from behind a prison wall, he can execute 2 real estate transactions and then grow into a mogul from behind a prison wall, and you sitting your ass on your couch. What's holding you back? And this is all real rap. This is a real story. This is a real hustler, real investor. This is a real mogul. Lance Smith, real estate informant. My man, Ken Atkins. We working. Stay blessed. Stay focused. Stay working.